Hello, I'm Benny Westside, and we're back with the finale of Loki season 2, possibly the whole show. We're gonna talk about it with my amazing guest, Cleaning Agent. For the first time, I'm having him on my stream, and coincidentally, this is the first time I'm having a guest on my stream, so I'm nervous and very happy, and I'm very happy that it's him.
Well, I'm very happy
Welcome
to
in.
do. Thank you so much.
Um, So, Loki season 2 finale.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned potentially series finale. I think you're right.
Hmm.
How do you want to start this, Benny? Do you want me to ask you a simple question?
Sure,
Did you like the episode?
I did. For the first time, I loved a Loki episode.
Oh, he loved this
Mm,
episode.
yeah.
I mean, you loved the fourth episode too, I think.
What happened in that one? It's all
That's
bleeding
what that's
together.
when that's the first spaghetti.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that one was fun. I really liked it. I don't know if I loved it, but I really liked it.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. So this is
Uh,
a new high, a new
yeah,
high.
definitely.
Okay, cool.
I might even say it I'm not sure yet, but I think it may have redeemed season 1 for me. Like it might have it because it's the last taste in my mouth. It might have
Right.
like been like let's let bygones be bygones. Having me sit through all of that, I might have forgiven you guys.
Wow. Okay, high praise for this last episode.
What about yourself?
Okay, so you'll recall when we did this video last week that I was going to try and shut off my logic brain and just let the illogic dream brain take over, whatever it is. I don't know if I fully did that.
Ah,
So, but I guess I still liked the episode. I still liked the episode.
mhm.
There was a lot of fun nods to like Groundhog Day and other similar movies like that. That was fun.
Yeah,
But I still, at my heart of hearts, feel they don't know how to tell a story in television.
I see.
Hmm.
That's actually a great point because my thinking was wow, like the way they did this, I wish the whole show, the 2 seasons, were an 8 or 9 episode single season.
Agreed. I would say between the two seasons, they could probably do it in 5 or 6 episodes.
Sure, even
Yeah,
that,
yeah,
maybe, yeah. There was a lot of fat to trim. Um, yeah, like 8, 5, 6, shorter, but one coherent season because season 1, now we realize, was literally just half a story,
yeah. I mean,
if that.
to me, I mean, I guess we'll get into the episode right now, but I agree somewhat with you. I think season one of Loki was him changing, right? His character changing indefinitely, like from trickster Loki to now he's changed to somebody else. Who is that? We find out in season two who that is. Um, and but I just don't feel it was done well.
Hmm.
This season was done better, but again, it still took 3 episodes to get going, so it's just like so hard to love it, you know, as a whole. But definitely, I would put it up there as probably one of the best Marvel releases in recent time.
Oh yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, it. Did you ever see that they did a movie cut, like an unofficial movie cut of Obi-Wan the series? Um, I didn't watch it, but I found it interesting that a fan just went and did that. So I feel like there's a version of all of Loki edited down
Right.
to like better pacing, better, sequencing, just overall.
I
more
bet you, I
effective.
bet somebody could do that because I do feel they still work within a movie storyline more than a television series
Hmm.
storyline. And so I bet you could cut both seasons of Loki into a pretty decent movie.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Um, I guess with our like initial impressions out of the way, we can just talk about the plot a little bit and how it ties up the season and the show.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes
Um,
sense.
we
I
left,
guess
yeah.
yeah, a brief recap of where we left on episode 5.
Hmm.
The only really important thing is Loki can time slip again for no apparent reason whatsoever.
Yeah.
Because we're throwing science out the window and just letting comic books be comic books, which is fine, I guess. Um, and not only that, he can now control it to the point of he time slips anywhere he wants, anytime he wants, any way he wants.
Yeah. And
Pretty.
into himself. Like he can,
And now, yeah, so now that's, I mean, that's a question for later, but that's where we left off. And he time slips right back to before Victor Timely suits up and goes down into spaghetti sauce.
hmm.
That's where episode 5 left off. Where did
Yes.
episode take us, my friend?
In 6, as you mentioned, Groundhog Day, he tries a couple times to speed things up, make Victor do it faster, run faster. He tries to go to an earlier point to make it to like speed it up even more. It doesn't work. Victor keeps dying, and then at some point he's like, "I need to just fix this thing right away." Hand it to him and like push him down the aisle, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So there, and he asks like, "What do I like? How can I learn enough physics to do this myself?" And Ouroboros and Kang are like, decades, centuries, even. So he like literally takes centuries on like a time slip journey to learn all of that. For some reason, anyway, he did it, and he comes back. He does it, and he's there actually. And even then, apparently, there's a couple instances where Kang drops it or falls over or like wastes time. So
Yeah, forgets to secure his helmet, like
yeah,
silly little one-off jokes, which is kind of fun.
yeah, and then eventually, once things go right, he's able to shoot the load into the loom and extend the rings and like
Yep.
achieve the goal of expanding the loom.
Correct.
But it's still not enough because as I think we talked about this last week, right? Like the timelines are infinite. So like even though you extend it, it'll fill. It's like a gas that'll fill the hole or like the container that it's in. So like
Right.
it's still not enough, and it's still exploding.
It
Uh,
was your worry since day one of this whole experiment of theirs. Being like, you were like, but isn't it infinite? Like, won't it just overload it again?
yeah,
And it did, and it took no time at all.
yeah. So
Do
with
you think?
his
You
yeah,
think one of the smartest scientific minds in Ouroboros and in Victor Timely, and now in Loki, who spent centuries learning the exact same technology and the purpose of the loom. Not one of those three geniuses thought, "Oh wait, it's infinite."
yeah, yeah. It was yeah,
That's just one of my minor, and that's again me putting my science brain in when I'm supposed to just be enjoying the show.
yeah. No,
But
but I
yes,
mean it's correct. It's like me thinking like, isn't this giant hand from Eternals not throwing the Earth off of the orbit or something like that?
right,
Or like,
right.
is it not like scratching the moon?
Just tickling it.
Yeah.
Okay, anyway, so the first 15 minutes of the episode is complete useless, but kind of fun.
Fun, yes.
Yeah. Okay, what happens next?
What happens next is he decides I need to go back to He Who Remains and stop
Well, I think
Sylvie from.
yeah, stop Sylvie from killing He Who Remains,
Yes.
because
So,
that will stop all of this from occurring.
yes, but that would effectively mean going back to one sacred timeline.
Correct, and all the pruning and all of his friends still being unknowing of him or anything that's happened, pretty much, right?
Yeah. Um, so he's like, if the multiverse is gonna explode, I might as well just have one universe that exists. So he goes
Yeah, it,
there. Sorry.
one's better than nothing, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. That's his logic. And then he spends a lot more resets there trying to stop Sylvie, but there is no alternate where Sylvie like listens to his reason. Like she is dead bent, like hell bent, whatever. Like she's set on killing Kang.
And not only is she just hell bent on killing Kang, he cannot stop her.
Yeah.
Physically, it seems like he couldn't stop her.
He couldn't um peacefully stop her.
Right, and he's not gonna hurt her because he's not Mischief Loki anymore.
What yes, at some point does he talk to Sylvie before he talks to Kang? I think
I think so.
I think he talks to Kang once and Kang's like you got to kill her. So he goes to talk to Sylvie.
Right.
So like at some point they pause time and Kang's like you've been doing this a while, haven't you? Because apparently he orchestrated it. He knew this would happen. He tells Loki the oh no, he doesn't tell him here yet. The only way you're out of this or you stop this is if you kill her. So
Right.
Loki goes time slips back to Ouroboros' or not back, maybe forward, whatever, over to Ouroboros' um, office or his lair where the universe was spaghettifying and he had like a single moment with Sylvie and he
Right.
stops time there to talk to her and he tells her that the only way to stop this is if we let He Who Remains live. And Sylvie, knowing herself, knows that there's no way that he can convince her past self to stop Kang.
No.
And even her current self, she's like, to hell with that. Like, I don't care. Free will is more important. And are you asking me for permission to kill myself?
Mm-hmm. Because she's never gonna give that permission.
Yeah. And they
Yeah.
actually have a bit of an emotional moment. I liked that scene.
I liked that scene, and I liked when he's talking with He Who Remains as well. I think those
Yeah.
were probably the highlights of this episode for me.
Yeah. That was a great scene too. So
Yeah.
on that note, he goes back to He Who Remains to talk. And He Who Remains tells him the time loom time loom? Yeah, time loom is not like is it's not a time loom. It's a failsafe where if it gets overloaded, it resets everything, and its only goal is to protect the sacred timeline.
Correct. And ultimately prevent Kangs.
Yes, prevent other Kangs from basically contesting He Who Remains and trying to take him out.
Yeah. And ultimately destroying everything in its wake, right?
Again, yeah. Yeah. So Kang says like the only way is you kill her and come with me and we rule the TVA. And that's not something that Loki can bear to do. So he decides that in his um, centuries of physics learning and his centuries of magic learning from his adopted Asgardian mother, he's become enough of a god that he can probably walk out there and um like endure the temporal radiation which
He
like
had a problem with it.
spaghettified Kang, whose temporal aura you need to unlock it in the first place.
Hmm.
So he goes out there, but he has at this point like mastered somehow stopping time, pausing people, singular people in a time frame. Like he's mastered that somehow within his like time slipping journey. It's
Yeah,
he's spent a lot of time doing this. So
yeah, yeah. I wasn't super upset that he was able to like because
yeah,
okay, I had to get over the fact that yes, he's this Time Lord now. That was the biggest issue. He is a Time Lord now, and he
yeah,
can control time in his own way, however he wants. How he got there, I have issue with.
mm,
Now that he's there, I actually didn't have issue with him being able to just hook into this time branches and do all of that because he's like you said had centuries to master this craft.
yeah.
So I wasn't upset with that at all. I just hated how he got there.
Got it. Yeah, but at that point, I kind of like accepted it as well, Be- because like it was sort of what it was leading to, and there wasn't that much time left, and that was the only logical outcome that this was going
Right.
to. Where he's like, it's not about sending Victor down there. I think he's the one who has to do it because in the last episode where it was like, it's not the where and why, it's the who. So like
Hmm.
he has to be the one to do it, and the reason he wasn't doing it was that if he gets spaghettified, then like he can't reset. So
Yeah.
he
As far
has
as we know.
to take the chance, have no return, like one shot. It's like from the third Nolan Batman movie where like he wasn't able to climb because he was tying himself or something. He had like a I don't remember exactly, but he had
Yeah,
like
yeah.
a
To get back to it.
lifeline. Yeah,
Right.
because there was no fear of death to be able to jump as like yeah. Anyway, so that's
Give
basically
you that
what he did.
extra push. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense.
So he walks out there, basically buck naked because like no protective suit, and
Yeah.
if
So his clothes do get like ripped right off of him, but he uses his magic clothes to make him look awesome.
yeah, even before he was able to like summon his clothes with magic, it's something I don't know if it's Asgardian magic, whatever. Hey, Zero Cool Gamer, thank you for the raid. Welcome and everyone. We're doing a
Woo!
spoiler discussion of Loki season 2 with Cleaning Agent. It is spoilers, so if you haven't watched it, beware. Um, and we're back to spoilers in three, two, one. Loki's on the time podium, walking
Yeah.
towards the thing. Um,
He got his throne. He got his throne.
yeah, his things are like stripping away. He got his Asgardian clothes, but they're like cooler and darker, and they look more arcane than his usual clothes.
Right.
And he's heading towards the thing. He what he's able to how does he how did he explode the loom? He didn't explode it with the thing.
No, just with his magic, his hands came out and he just popped it,
Okay. Yeah.
and it just like
So
it like killed everything. It looked like right,
yeah, it
and
was
then
a
he
lot of explosion.
then he breathed life into all of these different timelines and brought him back to life as he climbed up to his throne.
Yeah. One thing we skipped over it. As he's walking out, he's doing it very like rashly, maybe hastily, and Sylvie and Mobius run after him, and the door closes. He closes the door, and in the frame he sees both of them, and I think that was like a very nice moment. And he tells them, "I'm doing this for you. This is the only way I can save you guys."
Hmm.
And I thought that was a pretty moment.
Yeah, I think it's one of, I don't know if it's his first, but his like ultimate selfless act, right? Which allows him to go above and beyond in the true hero fashion or whatever, right?
Yeah. And when the loom explodes, it kind of, for some reason, sucks the life out of all the timelines. Um, and they're all dying. So Loki, Loki grabs them and breathes life into them. But like, if he lets go, like he grabs it to give life, and then to grab more, he lets go. But it like once he lets go, it dies. So he
Hmm.
realizes he can't let go.
Yeah.
So he like bundles all of them. It's like, and then through the clouds, he sees Kang's throne,
Hmm.
and he's like, "This is my apotheosis," and he like creates a stairway to heaven for himself, and he like walks up with the branches of the timeline that he's giving life a little bit, and then
Yeah.
he sits on the throne. Gold comes from somewhere. The remains of the temporal loom have decayed after exploding, and the atoms have rearranged themselves to become gold, and then
Yeah.
they creep up to cover Kang's throne to make it gold, because
Yeah.
alchemy exists in the temporal void. And Loki sits. I mean, it's all cool. It
It
looks
looks
very
beautiful.
cool. Yeah,
It looks great. It looks great. And
yeah,
who knows? It's probably Loki building it up in his own fashion. Whatever. It's
yeah.
all, again, for me at this point. I'm like, okay, it's a comic book. It's all good.
Speaking of fashion, some of the branches like come out of his cape,
I noticed that too. Yeah.
which I don't know how that works because he had his cape when he exploded the loom. It's not like the branches wrapped around his neck, so I don't
No.
know
Yeah.
how the
I don't know.
branches
I
come
just
out of
have
his cape.
the whole thing to me feels like almost a Matrix like thing where he's just plugging himself in. He's the battery of the multiverse, right? Like he is the battery giving it life now and making sure it can function fully and infinitely.
Yeah, yeah. Basically,
He is
that's what he
the
does.
he is the yeah, he's the nutrients that lets this tree bloom, so to speak.
Yeah. Um, and he just sits there, presumably for all eternity.
Yeah, at least for some small, well, I guess small period of time, which is an eternity, I'm sure, because everything's circular and comes back around. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And after that, we kind of have like a wrap up for a couple of the other characters. The TVA's been rebranded to, um, they're like trying to nurture this world tree that you see here, and Loki's
Hmm.
at the center, the glowing core. Um, Mobius decides finally to go back and see his actual life, which he had been refusing to. But he goes to a point or a timeline where he's there. So like he's basically just a third person observer. He doesn't like go into his life to live it.
Yeah, I think you wanted to sample it first. It's like a trial period.
Yeah.
30 day free trial period, and then if you like what you see, you
Yeah.
can make it your life,
Yeah,
I don't
and
know.
Sylvie and him have like a little moment there.
Hmm.
Miss Minutes has been reset to like work like the
Hated that.
paperclip from Word.
Hated it.
Do you remember that? The paperclip
Oh
from
yeah,
Word?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. She's basically
Absolutely. I
that.
love the paperclip from Word. Hated Miss Minutes and how she became an absolute nothing burger to this whole series.
Also, same with what's her name?
Ravona.
Ravona. Yeah, she got sidelined very hard.
Yeah, and again, that's a problem with their storytelling abilities in a television aspect. But at least she gets an end, like a near end credit part where she wakes up in the whatever that's called with Analyth.
Hmm.
So I mean, hers isn't completely over. Hers alludes to something like history repeating itself. Kang finding her there. She maybe gets somehow able to control Analyth or survives that, and that's how she joins his ranks
Hmm.
in that full circle moment kind of thing, I think.
Maybe, hopefully. If they keep going with Kang stories and Jonathan Majors, I
Yeah,
don't
I
know
guess
what's
it's all
going
over the
on.
earth. But yeah.
Yeah. If not, that might be the last time we see her.
Yeah, yeah. My guess is this is the last time we see 95% of these characters.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's it. And what does Sylvie do? I don't even remember. Does Sylvie even say what she's doing? She's just chilling like a
No.
villain.
Yeah, she probably went back to that McDonald's.
Yeah, and they allude that the TVA is kind of now Kang monitoring because they're not pruning branches,
Yeah.
but like they're like, oh, we found another Kang in a 616 adjacent, but they took care of it, which I think is alluding to the
Quantumania. Yeah.
thing. So I think
Um
they are for Kang variants. That's probably their job, which we alluded to in earlier recordings, right? We thought maybe the TVA would become a Kang hunting
mhm.
instead of a whole universe destroying thing.
Yeah. Um my, why wouldn't Sylvie go to Asgard? Like why is she living on Earth? What bond does she have to Earth?
I don't know if it's
Or was it just the budget of doing a McDonald's set versus an Asgard set?
I mean, McDonald's paid for that set, okay?
Yeah,
So
that's true.
let's get it straight here. Um, okay, so I mean that's a hard question to know anything, but I already still have issues with Sylvie's character arc in this show at the best of times because she only killed one Kang and then gave up. But to me, it's like she's been displaced and didn't belong anywhere for 400 plus years on the run, on the lam. I don't know if she has any real attachment to anything. So, like, Asgard to her is just as an unknown as anywhere. And I don't know if she would want to have anything to do with gods,
Mm.
right? I think she just wants to kick back and live a nice, easy life slinging burgers, you know? That's my feeling from her, but again,
Okay.
she shifts her feelings so frequently that who knows anymore.
Yeah. Just like her choosing to live on Earth for me is yeah,
Yeah.
questionable.
I mean, it might just be a convenience thing so that maybe she can help some Avenger team in the future
Hmm.
to fight Kangs or something, right?
Do we think she still has the Master Tempad?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah. I think if anything, and like I think this has been alluded to in the media, is like, is Tom done with Loki now?
Hmm.
Could be. I mean, 14 years of playing with this character, and this is a pretty good ending to the character. One, I think for sure there's not another Loki season coming. And if there's any other cameo appearances, they'd be brief because of what he's doing right now. Is like maybe he gets released at some point and
Hmm.
can live his life again. But the episode's called "Glorious Purpose." He's finally found it after all this time.
Mm-hmm.
This could just be it.
Yeah.
Um,
Or we see
and
variants.
yeah, I don't know. I think maybe we just see Sylvie. I think Sylvie's like the pickup of the mantle,
Hmm.
and if there's a Loki need or like a TVA need, she's like an easy go to.
Hmm.
That's my guess at this point, but I think Tom's probably done unless it's like a one-off cameo appearance.
Got it.
I mean, all those others after so long have you just have to move on as an actor, and maybe that's my feeling because I've been in that world a little bit. It's like you can only play a character for so long, and then your life changes over 14 years.
Yeah.
You want to move on to other projects. Your life goals have changed. Everything changes in that time. So it's like 14 years is good at any to put into one character.
And his character's story ended very well compared to
Yeah,
some of the
yeah,
other ones.
for sure. And it's not even that it just ended well. It's come to a nice close,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
You can come to a horrible ending, or like your character gets really shat on, but if it's a good close to your arc, then it's a good place to leave it.
Yeah.
And yeah, for sure, this is one of those types of moments. I don't know. So
Yeah.
I don't know what else we have to talk about. Like I jumped in places where I was like, "Ugh, things that just annoy me, and I think maybe that's what stopped me from loving the episode. But yeah, I don't know. I could pick it apart all day.
Yeah.
Is it worth it? No. Is it still like head and shoulders above of other Marvel releases currently? Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
And that's hopefully something that Disney will see and attach itself to and be like, oh, okay, we can make better quality stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just don't like it. See, I have to gripe a little bit. Have you
Okay.
heard the term Deus Ex Machina?
Yes.
Yeah, so in like theater world or movie world specifically, it's when something godlike or something unrelated comes in and saves the day. And I just feel like that's what happened here
Hmm.
because they and I feel that way more, I think, because they squandered their time in 3 episodes to not build to this better
Hmm.
and not feel like that. Um,
Yeah, they could have easily started Loki's ascension or like him mastering stuff earlier.
yeah, they've got the skills to write it because they obviously had some fun with the writing. Like even the episode of like science/fiction where they're like, cool, we went through all of the cool science part of this, and now we have to jump into the unknown of fiction to see it through and finish it. Like it was a clever episode, right? And how they wrote it was super fun and clever. But why couldn't they do that with prior episodes where they were just chatting over cake or pie? Like I was like, you can make it better. And I hate that I'm like bitching about it because it's still like so good compared to a lot of stuff Marvel's doing. But it's just like such missed opportunities even in their best stuff right now has me worried, I guess, for the future.
Do you think he needed a farewell moment or like a um something to wrap up his relationship with his brother, his father, his mother?
Right. So yeah, I guess in season 1 we get that kind of recap of like his whole life flashing before his eyes of all his failures and
Mhm.
doing horrible things and where it's led him. And I guess there's been that through line with Thor through everything, right? Over the 14 years. So I guess that would have been nice, but I don't think I think that's a fan service more than a necessary piece of Loki's puzzle.
Hmm.
Because for Loki, he always wanted a throne. He always wanted to be a god to rule over something, but he couldn't do that until it was a selfless act. That's kind of what it breaks down to me.
Hmm.
And so, with this being his ultimate selfless act, I think I think that supersedes any like, "Hey, brother, we're good," because it's like it doesn't matter anymore. That relationship doesn't matter as much as he is putting himself out there, whether his brother knows it or not, is irrelevant.
Hmm.
He's not doing it for the, oh, my brother knows I did this. He's doing this because he's being selfless.
Got it.
So I don't think they need that. Would it have been nice for a fan service? Yes. But I don't think it's a necessary thing for his story arc, if
Got
that
it.
makes sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have seen people talk about that being like, we need a Thor moment. We need a Thor moment. I'm like, no, I'm good.
Yeah. I don't know if we needed it, but I mean, it's something I've pondered. Like,
For sure.
did
Because
Loki need it?
was a big through line in like the movies and stuff for sure, right? Yeah. No, I think the way it ended, it was good. I think it's fine. Him finding his glorious purpose and actually like being able to fulfill it is all cool. And in the comic booky kind of fun, you know, CGI affected thing is like they made good work of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think in a bottom line, it was well done.
I would agree.
So okay, I guess we've gone through the episode. We've gone through why I didn't love it, but I thought it was okay. You still love it, I assume.
Yeah.
You forgave all of season
I
one,
did.
and I was
I
surprised at
I
that.
considered forgiving. I
Okay,
think it might. In if I think imagining a world where it's just one season and just one
right,
story, that makes me forgive or feel
right.
more towards forgiving. But season one was awful, man. Like, and I had to sit through that.
You sat through it like twice, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. rewatched it to give it a second shot.
Yeah, good on you. Good on you for at least giving it a shot. Um, yeah. Okay. So we're kind of done. We're closed with Loki.
Hmm.
And it didn't do what a lot of Marvel movies do, which or TV shows, which was like post-credit scene of some different thing happening in the universe
Yeah.
or some up and coming thing that we have to look forward to. That was nothing. There was nothing like that with Loki,
Hmm.
which is maybe there's multiple reasons for that, but one of them I think is because this is a closed story for Loki, and everything else doesn't really matter.
Well,
But that being said, how will this affect, do you think, future Marvel stuff? Might as well ask that question to you.
I think in no way at all. Because it's very self contained. If you never watch Loki, the multiverse exists. If you only watch Loki season one, multiverse exists. If you watch all
Right?
of it, multiverse exists.
That's true. Okay. But I guess at this point, the only thing that's different or moving forward is Kang variants are going to pop up to try to claim their rightful throne as rulers of the universes.
I think they left their door open based on whatever happens with Jonathan Majors. And
Okay.
I wouldn't be surprised if we never hear about Kang ever again. Uh,
Yeah, I can see that because it's like this series did close it as in, okay, the TVA has adjusted. They're just Kang pruning, not branch pruning, and Loki's holding down the fort. Everything's cool as a cucumber.
yeah.
So yeah, if and I don't think they wrote this and did that with the whole Jonathan Majors incident now in that knowledge. They don't have that knowledge when they did this, but it did conveniently make it easy for them to scrub Kang from the universes.
Yeah, exactly. So if he never shows up, TVA is doing their job. If he
Right.
does pop up, they haven't noticed him yet, or he's like cloaking himself, something. I don't know.
Hmm.
Um, I do think though, if it had like the whole Jonathan Major things hadn't happened and they had started principal photography on Secret Wars or Kang Dynasty, whatever, they would have put together a an end credits scene for Loki that would have been either a scene from that movie or something related to it.
Or even just like a Kang will
Oh
appear in,
yes,
right?
yes, that
They,
would have
they
for
do
sure
like
happened.
that lettering as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess, okay, so now that we're talking about Kang, so they went through, he went through, and Loki came through, fixed everything, became the Tree of Life. Um, Ti Victor Timely was still at the TVA.
Yeah.
So there is a Kang at TVA.
They might have they might have knocked him back into his timeline because or pruned him even because they show him pouring wax and he looks at the window
Yes.
and there's no
Yeah.
manual.
There's no book. Yeah. I noticed that too. I was like, okay, yes, that branch timeline is fine. But would the TVA book being passed to him timeline be a branch of that
Oh,
branch?
maybe. Maybe
Like,
he's like an agent of the TVA now.
that's the thing. Is like, okay, so there is a Kang there. He could even become a problem at some point.
Yeah.
But they're like, TVA is pruning He Who Remains or Kang variants, but he's there at the place is also really weird.
Do you
He's going pruning himself. Like, it's so weird to me. It just seemed like they erased him from the TVA, and it really was weird to me.
do you think they are pruning them when they're born or they're just monitoring them and pruning if like they start to Kang out?
It's really hard for me to know because, yeah, the only mention we get of it was B-15, I think, saying, hey, this popped up on the radar, this Kang, but they took care of it. So it makes me think they're waiting until they reveal themselves somehow through their technological advances.
Hmm.
Because there's probably plenty of Kang variants or timelines where Kang doesn't become this all empowered, bloodthirsty
Yeah.
character.
I mean, they're letting little Vic pour his wax, right?
Yeah, exactly. They didn't go in there and just prune the crap out of this innocent kid, which would have been an amazing scene to end on.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, so to me it just felt weird and kind of just disjointed that one, they don't show Victor Timely at all at the TVA, even though he was absolutely there when Loki stepped out and started wrangling the timelines.
Hmm.
And then two, they go and show Victor Timely not getting the TVA manual. It's like two very strange things that just sit funny with me. I don't
Yeah.
know how to. I don't know what it means. It probably doesn't mean anything. I think it's them just being like, he's not a problem,
Yeah.
but he was there. He saw everything that happened. He knows everything. So it's like so weird. And they show Ouroboros opening the new box of books, TVA
That sounds
manuals,
amazing.
written by him and Victor Timely. So like they still are. He's recognizing him. He's still somewhat involved, but it's weird that they didn't show him at all at the TVA, but showed him as the kid not getting the book. it just seemed weird to me.
It might even be like a mistake on their end where they thought that that logically solves it, but like you didn't you didn't solve it because
No,
we don't know what happened to adult Victor.
yeah, yeah. I wish they would have just shown him in the squish box, just getting squished.
Do you think he was in the conference room with like everybody? Probably
Right.
not,
Well,
right?
in theory, he would be right, or down in Ouroboros' lab, they're just
Mm.
working together like two fiends, just having a good old time. I don't know. It just seemed odd. That's all. That little part. And then maybe it's because I watched it at 2:30 in the morning last night. I don't know.
If they prune him, they send him directly to what's her name, so they can't prune him.
Right. So what are they doing with the Kangs?
I don't think they thought about those questions.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
Although again, that brings us to like the idea of the Council of Kangs, where all these prune Kangs are just getting tossed to the side, and that's where they start building up and trying to like
oh,
take
maybe.
back, right? Which I think we talked about in an earlier discussion as well.
Yeah.
It's kind of an interesting thought of like they created the problem themselves by trying to solve the problem.
Yeah.
Who knows? Anyway, again, you're probably right. This is a closed book, and we'll never hear from it again. But it's just interesting. Like, then that's the problem with time travel and all these timelines is like it's impossible to just wrap it in a tidy little bow. Even with Loki just tying it into a little bow himself, literally into a bow.
That's why I want the multiverse saga to end as soon as possible. Um, that way we don't deal with time travel and multiverses and all of this because the logic's gonna leak. There's no
Yeah.
because it is so theoretical. There's they can't write it in a cohesive way across all these properties. If it was just one story, one movie, or one show, then maybe.
Mm-hmm.
But like when they do it across so many, then there's gonna be logic leaking, and it won't work, which is already what's happening.
100%.
All of
Although,
the times that they've shown multiverse travel or time travel, it's worked in a different way in each of them.
yeah, it's gotten pretty messy. Yeah. Although I still like your not your theory, but your want that Eternals movie was on a different
Oh
timeline
yeah,
and they could just put that shit to dust. And whatever other trash movie they come out with in the future, they could just
Secret
make,
Invasion.
yeah, they could just put it on a different timeline and we could just forget it ever
Yeah.
happened. I do still love um, that way of thinking
Hmm.
from you. That's put a lot of good perspective on it for me.
I think like multiverse is like it. I think they can use it in small doses of like character studies where they meet versions of themselves or people they're related to, and we look at it at like the emotional level.
Yeah.
But when it's just about like the when it's the whole point is the travel and the traversal of different universes, it's not fun. Like I think we're done with multiverse.
Yeah, man, I watched this is just a side note of irrelevance, but I watched The Flash
Hmm.
on the plane ride. That was a disaster movie too.
Really?
Oh man, it's horrible. It's horrible.
For me,
Yeah.
it was fun. The
Was it?
CGI make it made it less.
Was
Um.
it? I felt it was just so painful, man.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe I also there's just like a lot of character choices for the Flash himself that maybe I
Hmm.
just don't like. Um Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I had a rough time with it, but
Okay.
at least it was on a plane. Yeah, I was not comfortable on the plane anyway,
Hmm.
so that didn't help. But
I see.
um,
For me, it wasn't bad, but I think like maybe they couldn't do this from a contractual point of view, but in that alternate universe, if Zod or whatever his name is, Zod, right? The villain, like the
yeah,
yeah. If he had kept Baby Kal-El and like used him as his lieutenant, and
mm,
that's how there's no way to beat them because they have Superman on their side and Superman just
right.
decimates. I think that would have made it so much better, and we would have gotten to see evil Superman, which would have been also pretty
Yeah,
awesome.
that was better.
But
Yeah,
contractually, they probably couldn't have done that.
I think a bigger problem for me was like they have all these circular universes flying through just to do stupid cameos of zero relevance whatsoever. I was just like, this is such a horrible fan service with zero stakes or like payoff really. Like there's no payoff for
Hmm.
it aside from like old Batman. He was the only cameo that was like worthwhile because he had an impact to the story somewhat. And even his impact was pretty slim. But like comparing it to like No Way Home, they were all established characters and they, aside from like Lizard, had like an impact on the actual story, was a much better fan service and more than fan service because they were integrated into the story. Like just seeing old Batmans, just like thousands of them and old different Supermans, like it was just like so useless. It just drove me crazy.
Hmm.
I don't know.
I think we talked about this. I have so many problems with No Way Home.
Sure, no, I'm not giving No Way Home a pass by any
Yeah,
means, but at least it was. I'd say it's a far superior movie to Flash, with even with all of its problems.
maybe. I don't think I ever like compared or tried to compare them, so I don't
That's
know.
fair. That's fair.
Maybe.
Yeah, yeah. I think they. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, that's a whole different discussion for a different video, man.
Yeah.
I apologize for even bringing it up.
Oh no, not at all. I think it's relevant. The whole multiverse thing. It will be nice when the fad is over, and I think the audiences are over the fad. Hopefully, the
Yeah,
studios soon too.
I think because it's getting too messy, it is time to wrap. I think you're right with that as well. Whether that's what happens or not, we'll see. But I think you're right. I think it's time to close it up. That again, okay. So here's my last like wondering of the series finale.
Hmm.
Is this still all He Who Remains' plan?
At this point, I think no. I think Loki
You,
stumped him.
you think Loki superseded him by straight up destroying the loom and taking things into his own hands?
Yeah,
Literally?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I'm pretty positive that this was not his intention. Up
Because I,
until like last episode, we were still curious. Is like what's his plan? He had a plan. What was his end game? And we found that out. I think in this episode,
mhm.
and I think for me, Ken got stumped.
So you think, so, okay, in theory, this has already happened. Kang has already seen all of this. This has already gone through the motions, right? Because he's a time traveler. He can go and see everything anytime, any place, any way.
Hmm.
That being said, who knows, right? It's easy to like change things as well without consequence, or with great consequence, whatever. So it's like he knew Loki was going to talk to him. He just asked in their little frozen conversation, "Is this the first time we were having this conversation?" In which Loki didn't really say anything until he stops time and says, "You think this is the first time?" And kind of like, "Oh, okay," makes him think, "Oh, Loki's further advanced than he thought." what was the, because you're saying this is beyond what He Who Remains plan was. Where did that where did that branch off? Speaking of branches, um, where did that branch off for He Who Remains? Was his plan that Loki joins He Who Remains, and then He Who Remains throws Loki under the bus to rule by himself anyway?
Yeah.
And so then this branch off is Loki's like, okay, I'm just going to be this selfless act because I've changed as a person, which throws his plan out the window.
Yeah, exactly. I think that was his plan. Get Loki to kill Sylvie, then kill Loki, and keep the status quo. But Loki was like, "No, I'm not killing Sylvie." So he deviated by letting Sylvie kill Kang and destroying the time loom.
Right, right, right.
And yeah,
Because there was one thing, and I can't remember what it was. Loki said something poetic, and it was like the first time that He Who Remains hesitated or thought, "Hey, this is different."
hmm.
I'm not sure what he's saying here. I can't remember what it was. Something about, I can't remember, living with the dead, or I can't remember what the line was, but it was some. I think it's an actual poem or something,
Oh
some
yeah,
sort
I
of.
think yeah, it was a long quote. It was like the living kill us and we'd learn from the dead. Something like that. I don't remember
Yeah,
what it was.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So that was, to me, if that was like the turning point of He Who Remains now is off script, or what his plan was, that makes sense that that's where that happened, because that line specifically, he was like, "Wait, why are you saying this?"
Hmm.
He didn't understand the line or whatever it was. I don't even understand the line. Again, it was 2 in the morning. Um, but if that was the case, he recognized something was different. It just seemed odd to me that He Who Remains wouldn't have done something about it, because he obviously could.
But how? Well, like, what could he have done? Because Loki can
Who
just
knows? I don't know.
time
He's all as
slip.
powerful. He's just as powerful as Loki, as far as I know. But maybe I don't. Maybe he's not. I don't know. It seems that's why it's just so weird.
So, like, we don't know if these like almighty time lords can their powers work against each other. Where can Kang pause Loki? Can Loki pause Kang?
Right. Right.
And also,
We didn't see it happen, so maybe not. Right.
yeah, and also Loki does it by snapping his fingers,
And Loki does it
whereas
naturally.
yeah, what's his face needs the
Needs
Apple
technology.
Watch.
Yeah. That's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. That also just was like weird to me. And again, that's me doing like, which I said I wouldn't do, me being like, okay, logistically, how does this work? Where is the time? Is this part of his plan? Isn't it? All of these things where I was supposed to turn my brain off and just enjoy
Hmm.
the stupid shit. But
Oh,
it still comes. It just comes. I can't stop myself.
also, so I don't know if Kang can time slip as well, and I don't know if you can time slip past your death. But I think that might also prevent that situation because Loki
Right.
is gonna let Sylvie kill Kang no matter what. So Loki can just like slip to the future and go
Right.
to the time loom situation, and Kang can't
Right.
follow him there because Kang's dead in that reality in that.
I totally get what you're saying, and that makes sense to a degree. But he also was like saying "see you soon," which I guess he was probably saying "see you soon" to Loki because he knew Loki would be there later. He would time slip there, right? He's not saying "see you soon" to Sylvie. He's
He,
saying "see you soon" to Loki.
to Loki, but also the version that said "see you soon" is not gonna see them soon. He it's more tongue in cheek, where like you're
Like
gonna
you're gonna
see
see my
me
character,
later.
right? And so his failsafe, aside from the loom, was Victor Timely to get the ball rolling to ensure that Kings end up on top again. It's all really convoluted.
And probably not completely thought out by them either. Is
Yeah,
like that's
yeah. Okay. I'm done now. I have to be done now. I'll just think about this forever. But I appreciate you humoring me as long as you have.
oh, my pleasure, man. I've been having so much fun.
And again, I've said this already. This is probably the best Marvel stuff as of late. But I can't tell if that's just because you and I have been having great discussions about it,
I
or
think
if
it
the
helped me.
quality, or if the quality's been better as well. I'm not sure. But either way, I'm happy to have done it with you.
Ah, likewise. For me, I think the quality's been better, but doing it with you has definitely increased my enjoyment of it.
Yeah. So we might have to pick another. We might have to pick something else
Yeah.
coming down the pipe. But from what I've heard, there's only one movie in 2024 coming out.
There's Echo.
Ooh, I do like Echo.
Yeah.
Okay. If you're down, I'm down.
Yeah. Um.
It should be much more straightforward as well, not this
Yeah.
multiversal
Yeah.
bullshit. So
Yeah. Yeah.
maybe we
It'll be
won't
a
talk
relief.
for. We might not talk for an hour and a half. Maybe we can
Yeah.
concise these videos down to like a half hour instead.
They're gonna drop it all at once, so we might just do one. Yeah.
That would be awesome. Okay. Damn. If that's the case, you and I should just do a watch party.
Oh. Yeah.
All right. Well. Okay. Well, let's
Okay.
wrap this video.
Yeah.
Let's wrap this video.
Before we go, I want to ask, what was your favorite thing about the show? Like, of both seasons?
My favorite thing. Okay. If I had to pick one thing
Yeah.
of
Or either a scene or a moment or just a visual.
No, I think I'm just gonna go with my gut reaction. Ouroboros was my favorite part of this
Okay. Nice.
Loki series.
Mhm.
All in. He's just such a likable, fun, quirky character. Like to the point of like when he's like grabs him from his branch timeline and he's like, "Can you rebuild this tempad?" He's like, "Sure, give me some time." And he's like, "How long did it take?" He's like, "Oh, 18, 19 months. I lost my wife and everything." He was just like, but he was so happy he got it. Like, it was like his true purpose shone through. It was like he was just so funny and enjoyable the whole way through. So I couldn't fault him at all in this. Yeah. That would be my favorite part.
I think for me, having that, I think the penultimate episode in the first season where all the Lokis were there, like the old Loki, the kid Loki, Gator Loki, that was nice.
Yeah,
but
that was
I
good.
think maybe it's recency bias. I'm gonna give it to his farewell with Sylvie and Mobius through that door with like the framing both of them.
Yeah, it was a pretty potent moment, that's for sure. Yeah, no, I can see that. That's a good little moment for sure.
Yeah.
And it just like totally showed his full change, right? Like him coming full circle and finding his purpose, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. If you want to get all like emotional about it, whatever.
I gave you the Lokis.
The Loki's was also good. I mean, and you can totally mirror the first season to this season of Old Man Loki.
Mm-hmm.
His glorious purpose was his sacrifice to let them get through, right?
Yeah.
It's a mirror moment. It's a full circle moment.
It was, yeah.
Yeah, so that's a fun little nod as well. Well done, Benny Westside. Well done.
Well, I think with that, I'm gonna say, for all time.
Always.